Hello crafters! Today we're going to work with the Abundant Beauty decorative masks. So these are brand new in the new mini catalog. Let me show you the mini. This mini catalog is from September 6th through December 31st, 2023. And if you would like a copy of this current catalog, please let me know. All of my customers should have already received a free catalog. If you are new and would like to shop with me, let me know and I'll get you out a catalog for free. In the catalog on page 47 is where you will find these decorative masks. We're going to go over each one and how to lay them down and how to get this beautiful sunflower effect look. So let's go ahead and get started. So with your decorative mask, you actually will receive 7. 3 are backgrounds, and then the other 4 are part of the sunflower. So these are the different backgrounds. You have this kind of checkered background. I know it's probably hard to see on here. Let me see if I can put that. There we go. So you have this kind of checkered type pattern here. There is a snowflake one, so you have all the different little snowflakes in there. And then there is a leaf one that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how these will look. So I have cut a piece. It is 5 1/4 by 4, so it's the perfect background size. Now with this, you're going to want to use something to tack this down. So I would recommend using washi tape to hold that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of pieces of my washi tape and just put this on the back of your piece of paper that you're going to use. So I have basic white, like I said, 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm going to stick this down on my grid paper here. And then that'll hold it in place there. And then you can take your decorative mask and you can put that wherever you want on your paper. So whatever snowflakes you want, whatever design you want. I think I will go ahead and put it like that. And then I'm going to use my washi tape to tack that down. So there it is, it's all tacked up. Now you can use your blending brushes to create your image. Let's go ahead and pull out Azure Afternoon and use that. So I have one of the smaller blending brushes, and you're gonna just kind of tap your blending brush in there on your ink pad, and then you're just gonna go ahead and rub a lot of that ink off so it's not a harsh look when you go and apply it on. So I'm just gonna go ahead. It's super easy to do, you guys. You can see you're just adding some ink. You are in charge of how much ink you want on, how thick you want it. So you can just go to town with it. So I'm just gonna do, I think, just a very lighter background. And you can see how quick it goes too. So if you wanted to do a bunch of cards with these backgrounds, it really doesn't take a lot of time to do. So I think I am going to be happy with that. And then all you do is make sure we close our ink pad. All we're going to do is pull this washi tape off. I'm going to save it for my next mask. So you can see how beautiful that makes your background paper. Isn't that pretty? So I will save this and use this on a card, and you're good to go. So you can see how quick and simple that was and how neat those snowflakes look. So when you're done with your mask, all you need to do is run this over water in the sink, and all of that ink will come off because it is water-based ink. So as you guys can see, I've done the same thing. I've tacked down my basic white 4 by 5 1/4, and I have 3 ink pads this time. I have Cherry Cobbler, Garden Green, and Pumpkin Pie. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of do some fall colors on this. So I'm going to use, I have a couple of smaller blending brushes and then one of the regular sized ones. So I'm just going to start off the same way, rub that ink off so it's not so harsh, and then I'm just going to come in and do a little bit of orange here, there, pumpkin pie. And then I don't want it to become muddy, so I want to make sure, let's do Cherry Cobbler. So I want to make sure I go nice and light and don't go real crazy. So I've got some Cherry Cobbler there, so I'm just going to rub some of that on. So it brings out them nice fall colors. I love that look. And then we will add on some Garden Green. Again, I always rub that extra ink off, and then just kind of bring it in. And again, you don't want it to go too crazy because you don't want to have that muddied look. So I'm going real light with this, and we'll see what we come up with. I might add a little bit more red. I don't want to go crazy, but let me just grab a little bit more red here. I think that might be enough. So we're going to pull that off and see what we created there. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. I love the softness of that. And you have a nice fall background to add to a card. So there's another option. You can use multiple inks to create that background. So our next mask, I thought it would be fun to do a embossed background. So what you're going to want to do is, in the embossing additions tool, you have the embossing buddy. You want to take that before you tape down your work, and you just want to rub that over the whole surface. And what that'll do is that'll take the static out of that paper and keep the embossing powder only where the embossing, or where the Versamark ink is. So then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to take our washi tape, and you're going to secure that to your surface. Then you're just going to secure your mask right over your paper. So then you're going to just bring in your Versamark ink, and you're just going to stamp that over the top. You want to make sure you get it into your design. So now you can also use your Versamark ink to just put that water mark behind it. You don't have to use the embossing powders. So that effect looks great on different colored cardstock. So we're just going to remove this. Now, in order to wash this, you do not want to put it through water. The water is not going to do anything. It's going to be sticky. So when we're done with this background, I'm going to show you guys how to clean this. So you can see, maybe you can't, but on the video, if you can see it or not, there is the background with the Versamark ink. I'm going to bring back in this tool here, and I'm going to use gold embossing powder. I just think that'll look really pretty on there. So I'm just going to sprinkle it all over the top here, and then I'm going to bring in my tweezers and kind of touch the very edge here. And now I can see where I can put my tweezers. So you can see it's really has a lot of embossing powder on it. So this will use a lot of your embossing powder. So I've almost got it here. So once you've got it to where you got most of it covered with your embossing powder, I think that is good right there. Just gonna tap it a little bit. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my embossing powder away because I don't want to mistakenly heat this up. Now I brought in the heating tool. There's 2 levels on here. Number 1 is for drying. Number 2 is for embossing. So you're gonna want to turn it on number 2. Let it heat up for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then go ahead and start embossing your design. So there it is. Isn't that gorgeous? So I will make a card with this and I will show you guys at the end of the video. I want to show you guys how to clean this. Now I have a glass plate, and it might be glare on here for you, but I love my glass plate. I got it 4 or 5 years ago and I absolutely love it. So I'm just going to use my glass plate as my background. You may want to use a silicone mat or something on the background, because in order to clean this, you're going to need the Stays-On cleaner. Like I said, water will not work. It just is too sticky. It won't work. But if you take your Stays-On and you just rub it all around here to get that sticky Versamark ink off, that will work. So you might not be able to rub it through the design here. Might have to tap it because it does grab at the cloth. But I like to use a lot of this Stays-On cleaner to really get that off. And if you, like I said, if you use water, it's just going to dry super sticky. So once you've got that cleaner all over your mask here, now what you'll do is, well, what I do is I take my simple chamois. I have a bunch of them. I cut them in half. I like to use them better. They seem to work a lot better for me when they're cut in half. I've labeled this one with a permanent marker, Stays-On. So I know that whenever I'm using Stays-On ink, Stays-On cleaner, this is what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to take this and kind of wipe off most of that cleaner with this. And I'm going to move this and wipe off my desk area. And again, I'll wipe this off. And it's up to you. You can let it air dry once you get that cleaner off. Or you can I'll take a paper towel if I want to use it again and just run that paper towel over it. And that's all you do to clean that. And then when it dries, it should dry where it's not sticky. You might have spots here or there. You might have to go over it again with your Stays-On cleaner. But that'll take off all that stickiness. Our last stencil will be the sunflower here. So I thought it would be neat to recreate this card that is in the mini catalog, the mini September through December catalog, which is on page 47. So let's go ahead and get our stencil out and I'll show you guys how to do that. So you will need a piece of basic white cut 4 by 5 1/4. And your remaining masks are the sunflowers. Now with the sunflowers, they have notches, which will show you that that's the way that they line up. So your notches, when you're doing your design, you would make sure that your notches are on the same side here, if that makes sense. So if you're putting your sunflowers like this, then all the notches are going to have to line up here. If you put them this way, they'll line up that way. So, and if you guys can see, it's hard to see, but they are all numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is the order that you're going to do your stenciling in. So we're going to start with number 1. I'm going to go ahead and just tape this guy down. Colors that we're going to use is Pecan Pie, Mossy Meadow, Cajun Craze, and Crushed Curry. So you're going to need blending brushes. I'm going to use 2 of the smaller blending brushes, and I'm going to start with my Crushed Curry. And again, I'm going to go off the paper, and then I'm going to work it into my sunflower. So I'm just going to go around the outside edges. The inside, I'm going to do the Cajun Craze because that's what it looks like they've done on the picture. So I'm just going, like I said, on the outside edges. You guys can see. And every time you do one of these inking techniques with your masks, they're all going to be different because it's just going to depend on how much ink you apply, and it's just a lot of fun to do these. So I think that's about as bright as I want the sunflowers there. So now I'm going to close up my Crushed Curry, and I'm going to bring in that Cajun Craze, and then I'm going to work on the centers of that. And again, you want to go ahead and take most of it off. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. So I think that is going to be just what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and close those up. Now we're going to move to mask number 2, which will be the leaves, which we will use the Mossy Meadow ink for that. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, look at how pretty, you guys. So let's bring in the leaves. So then we're just going to go ahead and tape that one on. So I have a larger blending brush just because you're just doing the one area there, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to blend in that Mossy Meadow. I think that is good. So we're going to close that up. Number 3 is going to be the center of these sunflowers. So you can see, you can line that up. You might have to turn it, twist it a little to get it where you want it. So I just have a regular size, the larger blending brush, and I'm just gonna bring that in. And I want those centers dark because the sunflowers are pretty dark in the center. I think that is good. Perfect. And then I think I'm going to bring in another color. I think I'm going to bring in copper clay. They used on the sample the pecan pie again, so they just made it a little darker, but I'm going to try the copper clay and see what that does. So again, if you want to create the one that's in our catalog, they use pecan pie. They just rubbed it on top again, but I'm going to try the copper clay. I like this color, and I think that'll look good on there. So what this piece is doing is it's making it, the centers darker, and then it's going to give a little light outcast of that pecan pie. Oh, look at how gorgeous that is, you guys. Check that out. So these masks are amazing. Look at that. Look at the coloring on that. So pretty. So on the sample card in the catalog, they did dry emboss that with the Distressed Tile 3D embossing folder. It's a new folder. It's actually on page 43 of the mini catalog, September through December. Number 4 here, you can see it. You can buy it in a suite, which let me show you the suite. This is all about autumn suite. Gorgeous, gorgeous suite. So you can buy it, and it will be in the suite, or you can buy it separately. It is $9.50, or you can purchase the whole suite for $105.75. So I'm going to go ahead and run that through that embossing folder. I'm going to bring in our embossing machine. We're going to put down our base plate, which is number 1. On your plate, you can see they do give you the setup as to if you're using dies, regular embossing folders, and then the 3D. So we are using the 3D. This is a 3D folder. So you're going to need plates 1 and 4 for to emboss. So with the Stampin' Up! Folders, the front of the folder will say Stampin' Up! And it's got the line and the Stampin' Up! Logo. That is the front of the folder. That is where your image will be embossed. If you wanted it de-embossed, so your image of the folder is going down, you would run it through your machine with the back side of the folder. So I'm going to go ahead, put this in here, and then we're going to take our plate number 4, put that on top, and then we're just going to roll that through our machine. So I like how by using the embossing folder, you get a completely different look with this. So we are going to use the Something Fancy dies. They are in the annual catalog on page 34. So they do coordinate with the Something Fancy stamp set. And that is what they used on the sample in the catalog. So we're going to use the same thing. They use the smaller one here. So we're going to pull that one out. And what they did was they did stamp it in Versamark ink on Lost Lagoon with white embossing powder. So we're going to do the same look. So I'm going to go ahead and get out my Versamark ink pad. And I do want to take my embossing buddy here. Let's see, I could probably do it like that so I can save. So I'm going to just rub that down there. And then they used, I'm sorry I didn't show you, they did use the So Sincere stamp set. This is right on that page with the masks on page 47 of the mini catalog. It is this stamp set, So Sincere, right here. So it's got a lot of great sayings in here. So we're going to use that. They used Your Kindness is So Appreciated. I love that sentiment. So I'm going to use the same thing. So we're just going to ink that up. And then I'm going to stamp it here. And I'm just going to hold it down for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Just so you get enough of that ink on there so your embossing powder will stick. So there it is. I bring in my tray and I'm going to just use my embossing buddy on it before I put my embossing powder on it. So I have the white embossing powder and we're just going to sprinkle that. And there you go. So I'm going to bring in my heating tool just like before, turn it on number 2, let it warm up, and then we're going to emboss that. So I brought in my mini Stampin' Cut emboss machine, and I'm going to use that to just cut this right out. So that is it for our die cutting and our stamping. So now we're just going to assemble the card. So we're going to bring in all of our pieces, and you're going to need a piece of basic white. You can use thick, which I highly recommend, which I'm using. It's 8.5 by 11, and we're going to go ahead and fold that right in half. That's going to be your card base. I'm going to bring in my bone folder to give it a good crease. So it looks like in our sample in the catalog, this has been popped up. So there's a couple options you can do. So there are adhesive foam sheets that you can purchase through Stampin' Up. They're a big sheet that you can cut down and put your paper on there and use that. I like these for other things. I don't like to use a whole sheet on a big piece like this. They are a little heavy, so for mailing, but that's up to you if you want to do that. What I like to do is I buy these on Amazon, Walmart. I really don't know where I got these. Could have been the craft store. They're foam sheets, 9 by 12. It's they're all white, and they're super thin and very lightweight. I like to take those. I cut this at a little below 5 1/4 and a little below 4, because I knew when this was put through the embossing machine it was going to shrink. So what you're going to do is use your liquid adhesive to glue this down. These are very light and you're not going to have trouble mailing them. So I'm just going to add this to the glue to the foam sheet here. And then we're going to stick our sunflower on the top here. And then you're going to want to make sure you move it to cover all of that foam so you're not seeing the foam once you put that down. So that'll give it a nice pop up on the front of your card. So see, super cute. We're going to set that aside because in our catalog, the sample, they used ribbon, the Ribbon Duo Combo Pack, and they actually took some of this. Let's see, I'm just going to kind of measure it out because they kind of looped it around the bottom here. Let's see what we got here. So something like that. So we're going to cut right about there. Oops. So this color obviously does not match. So what they did was they took the Mossy Meadow. You can use light or dark. I did a little sample with the light and it'll be fine. So you're just going to color this with your Stampin' Blend. And you just have to color the one side because it's going to bleed through. And then that will match our Mossy Meadow on the front of our card. Great little tip if you're looking for matching ribbon and you don't have any. Grab your Stampin' Blends, grab your ribbon, and start coloring. So let's go ahead. Our ribbon's all colored so you can see it bled through on the other side. We're going to put this on the front of our card. So I'm just going to take our glue. So I have a lot of glop here, so I'm going to take my bone folder and just kind of spread it because I don't want it to leak through when I put it down. Then I'm just going to take a paper towel and just wipe that glue right off of that bone folder. Take some Stampin' Seal. It's actually the Stampin' Seal Plus because I don't know where my regular Stampin' Seal is. You can use both of them. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to kind of wrap this like they did. There we go. And then I'm just going to trim this. And then I'm going to pop that up because it is popped up on the front of that card. So I'm going to use regular Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. And then this is going to go, I hate to cover up those beautiful sunflowers, but we'll put that right about there. So there is the card. They also did use on there, which I don't think I want to use. It looks like they used some iridescent rhinestones and put them all around. So you can use them if you want, but the card is very simple to make and it's super pretty. There's the cards I created using the backgrounds that we created at the beginning of the video. A couple of fall ones and then that Christmas one. The other card obviously is the one we just made together using all 4 of the sunflower masks. So I would highly recommend purchasing the Abundant Beauty decorative masks on your next order. So I think you guys would use these masks quite a bit in your creative spaces. Thanks for watching.